Rolling.
What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And this episode is going to be loaded with Martin bashing. Uh, if you're listening, you can't see the boxes on the screen. He's not here right now, but he'll be here in an hour. He's putting on his suit of armor. It's going to take about that long to get it on. But if you're listening to allthingscomedy.com or Omni Studio or iTunes or wherever else you can find this podcast. Like and subscribe and rate and leave stars and do all that stuff. And if you're watching on YouTube, you're watching it on YouTube. And if you're not watching it on YouTube, you can watch it on YouTube at Ian Edwards or Ian Soccer Comic Rant Edwards. And like and subscribe, man. Hit that like button. That's what all the videos I watch of other people's videos tell me to do. So I'm telling y'all to do that shit too. And a sponsor is onthevolleyapparel.com. And if you go to onthevolleyapparel.com, they have tanks, hoodies, sweatshirts, and t-shirts with soccer/hip hop logos and emblems on the front. They're fucking fly and they're dope. Use my promo code Comic Rant and you got 20% off. And we got two of the usual suspects here. And let's go with Lee Hudson, comedian from England and Southampton fan. What up, Lee?
Hey man, all good. It's yeah. I'm glad to see the back of this season, but still one game, still one game left.
Still one game left. I think you that's how your players play, like they feel like they're glad to see the back of the season.
Yeah.
And also on the podcast is Neil Chakravarty, Chelsea fan, comic from San Diego by way of India, and losers of the FA Cup final to Leicester, but they might be in the top 4 again. And they got a shot at the Champions League. They have a shot at losing the FA Cup and the Champions League final in the same year. So congratulations, man, on these opportunities that your team have ahead of it. Neil?
Yeah, I mean, we have to get this done now because losing 3 finals is a lot of I'll start feeling like Martin after that. Can't have that Spurs mentality at Chelsea, but no, good to be on.
I mean, Spurs would be happy to lose 3 finals. They lost 1, and now they're a mid-table team with Harry Kane. And if they're a mid-table team with Harry Kane, you're like, what? Let me see. They are 7th. Next year, without Harry Kane, Jesus Christ, they might be in a relegation battle.
Well, I'm not that sure about that because I mean they're gonna get some other strikers, so it's not gonna be that.
Yeah, you're right. It's not that bad. They have Bergwijn. He scored 1 in 41. So
or no, I mean they'll go buy somebody. So that's actually one of the few things I have against Harry Kane. Despite, I mean, he's had a great season, probably the best season of his career, but his team is 7th. The great players we know in the Premier League, when they have a world-class season, their team is doing things. So I'm not really I feel like that's something. I think he gets a lot of goals in games where he just racks up the tally, but then they've dropped points in a lot of games when Harry Kane has been on the pitch. So,
but that's a midfield and defensive problem.
I mean, they're still the 5th best defense in the league. They shouldn't be, they should be, they should be punching above their weight just on the basis of having Harry Kane and Humans on the kind of season they've been having.
That
if
sounds
you just
like
look at the raw numbers.
Yeah, I guess football is a lot more than raw numbers, and they haven't been coached well. They're not managing games well. It has to be because they're giving up goals at the worst moments possible to get results, and that's the problem. And they're scoring goals in clumps.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I kind of when all these numbers get thrown around, 150 million for Harry Kane, I'm like, this dude has no pedigree whatsoever of I don't remember any memorable moments end of the season.
You know what?
I don't remember any cup knockouts.
Let's save these insults for when Martin's here.
Well, Martin might actually feel good about this right now
your mic is Neil, your mic is a little hot.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I don't know if you need to turn it down or something. But
Um,
but
I
I wanna ask you,
yeah. Go ahead.
like the FA Cup final is almost a week
Yeah.
past, right? This is this weekend.
Mm.
And like your team Chelsea again lost to Leicester. And how many goals did you get disallowed that game? I forgot.
One disallowed, I think, and one more offside.
And one offside. And Chilwell's
Yeah.
one was
Yeah.
offside.
Yeah.
And I mean, so how did you feel watching that game as a Chelsea fan with Tuchel and you know,
It was a pretty. It was kind of like a game from the first, like the first few months of Tuchel. I think off late we've been more doing quite a few things attacking wise too, but I don't think that game we started off doing well attacking wise. So overall, I don't think it was a good game that we had, but I still feel we were the better team because we at least did something, whereas Leicester was kind of like restricted to one long range shot, which again, like short arms Kepa, man, like he strikes and he
do you
strikes.
blame him for that?
Yeah, because he almost got there, so I know what Mendy would have done.
But then this
That
is a Tuchel problem then.
this is a Tuchel problem. Like this is one of the most craziest like gambles I've ever seen a manager take at for a. And it's kind of like a sentimental thing, right?
Why is Tuchel acting like Kepa is German?
No,
And
I
he's
think
trying to
I
get
think
him
I've
the
I
German
haven't heard
squad.
Tuchel say something like this, but I've heard Pep say that when they had their second keeper, and some managers like to have their cup keeper almost as a sort of you're paying a debt to this guy that okay he's kept in the first few rounds of the cup, so you just let him be your cup keeper and keep him happy. But I'm not a big fan of that. I know Jose Mourinho or Antonio Conte would be a lot more ruthless than that, especially like when you know the gulf in quality between Mendy and Kepa. Like Kepa has been the worst, has had the worst historical season as a keeper all time, not just Chelsea. And Mendy's been, the top two keepers in the league this season. So yeah, I think Tuchel completely messed that up. I kept saying, you can play Kepa. You need to make sure you have no shots on target conceded. We had one shot on target conceded, and that was it.
But I want Lee to get in here, but I still don't believe that goal was savable. The only reason I blame Tuchel and Kepa for this is because the only reason why Tielemans took that shot is because somebody texted him,
yes,
shoot from long range.
But
even though that's unsavable, and they wouldn't have texted him that if Mendy was in goal.
Exactly, because
and so then they might not have gotten their only shot.
Yeah.
But it was a shot that it would have been hard for Mendy to save. Mendy would have grew tall if he tried to save that and still missed it. But Lee, talk some sense into Neil, because he keeps saying we were the better team. The better team lifted the cup.
The goal was a great hit. I don't think you can account for it from the goalkeeping perspective. It is what it is. But I think the way they gave the ball away to lead to the chance, and then also like Leicester had like one player up front, and all of the Chelsea centre backs just backed off. They went like, oh, we need to. So Tillman's just like, okay, I'm going to have a free shot here. Like no one went out to close him down. Like Jorginho had like all these runners coming through from the Leicester midfield, and he couldn't pick them all up. And Tillman's just had acres to line that shot up, but not one of the Chelsea centre backs decided to step out and deal with the danger, which you've got to do there. But I think I sort of agree with Neil overall. Chelsea were the stronger side. I think it was sort of in their favour, but they never really broke Leicester down constantly. They had some chances, like Schmeichel pulled off a couple of big saves, but they weren't they had more of the ball when they were getting into the final third, but then the final pass was poor, or the final decision was poor, or the finish was poor and not on target. So I think that was a bit disappointing from Chelsea. I expected a little bit more of them, but fair play to Leicester. They dealt with Johnny Evans going off injured. in the first half. They even were able to throw Wes Morgan in there as well.
Which is pretty disrespectful.
Well, he scored the Chelsea equaliser. Technically, they got chalked off, so that would have been a bit of a shame if he'd have cost them the game there. So I as a neutral, I was pleased to see Leicester win, just because I think it's nice to see a different name on the cup, and you could see as well. It was interesting seeing the affection for the owner. From the players at the end as well, because you don't get that at many clubs. I think a lot of people pointed that out, which was interesting. I think there's a real bond there. Obviously, what they went through with the late chairman who died in the helicopter crash and stuff. So it's
almost a terrible reason for the bond. You know what I mean?
But I think that bond was there though, because they seemed, even when they won the league, when he was still around, the players still celebrated with him. So I think there was that, because he was at all the games as well. He wasn't like some distant owner hiding. Right. Apparently he would go to the training ground and stuff. He knew all the players. Cool. So that bond's there, and it was just nice to see. I think it was good to see that as a neutral. But if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd definitely be disappointed with that.
But there's a few things I want to tack on or just examine that you said. One on the goal. Neil, you blame Tuchel and Kepa, but if you're a defender and your goalkeeper is Kepa, you get to that ball. Like
I think they got used to, because we saw the stats last season of there was a stat that came out that opponents are specifically targeting Chelsea with long range shots, and that's completely almost dried up this season. So I guess the players
they just thought that Mendy was back there.
Mendy was back there because I think when he pulled the trigger on that shot, even I didn't expect it. I saw there were a couple of the danger I was seeing was there were a couple of people on the for whom a through pass could have been available. So yeah, I mean, and Jorginho, that's where I keep saying that we need a holding DM, because we saw the screen there, and that's essentially the guy who Jorginho should be marking, and he's instant pointing at somebody else and not even looking in the direction of the play. So yeah, I mean, it was a moment of I think that was the only real chance we kind of gave away, and it was such a low percentage shot that
it was a half chance that turned into a full chance.
I don't even know if it was a half chance, because
but Tillemans does that. Don't sleep on Tillemans.
True.
He does that. I think the league doesn't believe that Tillemans is a player yet, because he has these flashes, and he's like, he's game by game, season by season, growing stronger and stronger. And it's hard when somebody's not who they are yet to believe who they are yet. And he's gonna have a lot more moments like this. Like when we played Leicester early this week, I felt like what's his name? Thomas, the
new guy?
The new guy,
Thomas, the fullback,
the fullback. I was just like Leicester's like DJ Khaled to me, and another one. Like, where did this guy come from? And another one, you know what I mean? And Tillemans, and another one, and you just keep Fofana, and another one. It's like.
No, I mean, that's the best midfield. I like Tillman's, Madison, and Ndidi is as good as midfield in the league right now.
Why don't you guys just try to buy Ndidi?
You want to be, but I just feel like Ndidi is gonna be, if Rice is too expensive for us, Ndidi is gonna be even more expensive.
But you guys got it. Like, listen, what do you need? Like, what are you guys gonna do now? This is kind of off, but what are you guys gonna do now? Are you gonna try to buy a forward? Or are you gonna trust? You're gonna trust.
I want to trust. I don't think Tuchel wants to trust. So I think we're gonna go out and buy a striker. Like, you see these names floating around, like Kane, Lukaku, Haaland. Read something even about Lewandowski. I don't know how credible that is, but we're gonna definitely try and put our fingers into each of these and see which one we come up with.
Focus on Ndidi and Rice.
Yeah, and a holding DM. I'm pretty sure by now it should be clear to Tuchel that we do need that kind of a player.
Right. And then the other thing,
And the offside goal. This is one more thing I wanted to bring up. Like
hmm
that goal that got chalked off. I
hmm
understand as the way the rules are right now, it wasn't a goal. But I just feel like that's completely against the purpose of the
of course you
offside law.
do.
Like you, first off, there's a problem with the tech itself. The frames per second are not
We know
precise
that though,
enough.
but we've all accepted the frames are what the frames are.
No, but that's again something that's faulty implementation of the tech, right? I haven't seen something like this. Like I remember in cricket when video refereeing came in for the first time, the guys who this is even something that has to be decided at the FIFA level or the UEFA level. The guys who own the technology are supposed to, put the foot down and say, hey, this is what we are providing you. It has this margin of error. So you account for that in your decision making. We see none of that. So you're trying to go up to a millimeter precision on the line when you have probably at best centimeter precision on the on when the ball leaves the foot. So if you don't account for the margin of error, you are gonna get wrong calls. And even despite all of that, there is no advantage gain there. That's the whole purpose of the offside law. You're trying to like legislate on something that's I mean, the scoring a goal is the most difficult thing in football, and you're just making it
Apparently, staying
harder for,
offside is.
and you're making it harder for an absolute bogus reason.
I don't know. Man City seem to score enough. They're at the top of the table. You're in the Champions League final with the same rules in Europe. It's like
It's not a Chelsea thing. I've been saying this from last season
no, no.
when
But I'm
this
just
got
saying.
implemented.
I'm saying it's not a Chelsea thing either. It's just like, hey man, it's the same rules for everybody. So
Yeah, but
it's
it's the
kind of
same wrong
works.
rules for everybody. Like
Yeah.
it just allowed people to push the ball into the goal,
Let
but
me ask you a
allowed
question.
everybody to do it. It'd still not be right.
Was that offside or not? Let me ask you a question.
The way the rules are right now, it was offside.
All
But the
right,
rule is
cool.
dumb, is what I'm
Of
saying.
course. Of course you'd say that. If it worked the other way around, would you still feel the
I mean,
same?
offside's supposed to be like for goal hangers and stuff. Like, what are you trying to do here?
Offside's pretty offsides.
No, I don't agree with that. It's not like goal line technology where it's a static line and you're either in or out. I don't think that's how offside's supposed to work.
I don't know, bro. Listen, valiant effort. Listen, I'm with Lee. Like, I'm glad Leicester won because I'm worried that they're not going to finish in the top four. I like Brendan Rodgers. I thought he got the shaft back in the day at Liverpool. I think he's proven that he's a good coach, and they deserve something. And it would
Yeah,
be
I agree.
it'd be
Yeah.
cruel for football not to give them something. Like you're gonna go to the Champions League final, even if you don't win next
Yeah.
year. You are being promised the world by the football gods. You have a coach, you have money. If you need to buy something, you can snatch it off the market. It doesn't matter and you have the advantage to buy players over other people. I don't know what your cap is based on what you've earned, so I don't know how that affects you. But you're Chelsea, and you have white guy oil money, so you're good. You could spend it, and you're gonna have all these weapons. This new coach for the whole season, and I think you're gonna be. I think, but Leicester, I don't know. And then, so the other thing about the Leicester, and then throwing the own up in the air, and I know they've been through a lot. Like trauma bonds people together, and especially even the trauma of winning the league in 2016, I think it was. But and they talk about owners, but he sold a player to Chelsea that almost took this cup out of their hands. So every year Leicester sells a key player. And I guess everybody's not perfect, but like to make this thing sound so fairy tale,
Yeah.
at the end, and to ignore that,
No,
is
I
is
get what
kind
you
of
mean. Like,
it's
this is a
kind of
great.
false to me. Yeah, they won, but
Yeah.
hey, man, like Leicester needs to stop selling. You know,
Yeah.
like if they you can't like hobble Brendan Rodgers out. Like they could be in the top four the last 2 years and be in the Champions League money and make more money than the money they made for selling shit. Because how much do you get for being in the Champions League?
I think anywhere between 50 to 100 million, depending on where you land.
Right. So you made the money for Harry Maguire and Chilwell for being in the top four for the and which you would have been for the last, for the next 2 years, these 2 years. It's like you're trading like instant gratification for money you could get later on anyway, and more status and more name, build the club's name more. The more you're in the Champions League, the more people around the world see you, the more fans you get. The more fans you get and become new fans of your club, they buy the jerseys, the shirts. The further you go into the competition, and with those strong ass names, it's just, and even then, the more money you could get for those players if you sell them internationally to teams that want them. So it's like, yeah, no owner's perfect, and I really like that. Like I said, I wanted Leicester to win, but they did sell two of their top players 2 years in a row.
I just don't think they care though. Yeah, sorry, Lee, go ahead.
I think it's out of the club's hands in a way though, because you talk about those two players. You've got in the past, you've got Kante, Mahrez, Drinkwater went for like 45 million. I know it didn't work out, but it's still a big.
That was a smart sell.
Yeah, that was a smart one. But I think it's out of their hands, because even if Leicester became an established top four side, it's still not a name, and it's still a city which, there's some pleasant parts of Leicester, but it's not the same as living in London. So someone like Kante will always want to leave, and you just have to get the best price for them. I know this as a Saints fan as well. Like we've had the same issue before, where if we kept, how many players did we sell to Liverpool who've then won a Champions League? Bale we sold, won a Champions League. So you could say, oh, if they all stayed with us, we could have done that. But the reality is, it's hard to establish yourself and break into that sort of group of super clubs. Like even Spurs can't do that. Even Spurs have to sell players. So it doesn't matter really to say like, oh, why don't they just keep them? But I think the players force those moves. We had it with Van Dijk. Van Dijk started refusing to play because he wanted to go. I think there comes a point as a club when you have to be sensible and go, well, we'll just get the most money we can for them.
But like Southampton's in the middle of the table, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking about a team that's won the league, is in the top four for most of the last 2 seasons. I think you can keep them. You could be like, hey, let's do something. And then you have
what is that something though?
Like let's make a run for it. Like I feel like this is the time for Leicester to say, let's put some more money into the club and see how much further we can go. Like I understand if you're a mid-table team. I understand if you've never won the league, but you just did it recently. It's almost the recent history of the club is making the speech to the players that somebody who's never won or hasn't won for a long time for even a used to be elite team would have to make. I feel like Leicester's blowing an opportunity.
I feel like even though if they kept this squad together and didn't sell anyone this summer, there's every chance that they could finish outside the top 6 next season, even with this team.
Yeah, because they don't have no Chilwell and Maddison. you know what I mean? It's like, but with them, you've strengthened other teams.
But maybe there's some business logic to it too, that helps the club or even on the football pitch. Because if they have set themselves right now as, say, the Porto or the Benfica of the Premier League, where it is a smart that you buy quality talented players when they're cheap and you upsell them, that's actually something. Like if you don't make leaving your club that difficult, it's actually an attractive place for a lot of these players from the continent, that you rather go to. Like if you're Wesley Fofana, you rather
I'm sorry, Neil, I'm a Manchester United fan. We have winning mentality. Like
but
business logic doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but for Leicester, they're gonna finish 5th after being in the top four entire season, 2 seasons in a row right now.
And they
So
and they might sell somebody next.
yeah, so for them
for
to,
fun.
so I
Crazy.
think winning something is way out of their, like, it's not even in the realm of their
It
thinking right
is
now.
in their realm. They just beat you. They just
Okay, you
won.
can
And
get
they just won in
lucky on, you
2016.
can get lucky on a cup run.
How-
You
how
know,
are you
Wigan won and got relegated. So you can
They're
do
not
that, and they've got then a nice little fairy tale at the end of the documentary.
Neil.
But
Like, they won the league in 2016.
yeah,
They just won the FA Cup. They beat Chelsea. It's not, you can win. This team can literally win. Like, for real, for real. Like, they could be there. Listen, they became they have legit trophies without committing to win legitimately. Imagine if they committed legitimately to winning some trophies. They'd win more trophies. This is them kind of half-assing it.
Okay, well, here's a hypothetical. So
Go ahead.
say you're Ndidi and Man City go, right, Fernandinho he's getting on, this is his final season. We want Ndidi and we're going to double or triple your wages. You get to come play for Pep. You get to challenge for the Champions League. You get to challenge for the Premier League. Would you say no? I'm going to stick with Leicester.
Indeed, he's African, right? Nigerian.
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, Yaya Toure, I need you to speak to Ndidi and tell him how you feel about Pep. I'd be like, Samuel Eto'o, I need you to speak to Ndidi and tell her how Pep has treated African players in the past. And who else? Homeboy that had cancer for Barcelona. Tell him how Pep sold you after you recovered from cancer. and treats African players. And I'll find anybody else. I'll play dirty.
Do I need to pick another player?
Yeah. Do I know Indeed, how many African players that Pep has treated bad do you need to speak to for me to convince you to stay here with Brandon Rodgers, who we just won something? You like that feeling? Nobody will ever forget you, and it's on a bigger scale. We could be the club. But I don't think Leicester. I guess they just don't want to be. So that's just my. But they could. I just don't. They're if it. I just think they could be, man, if they wanted to. But maybe their financial commitment. They don't want to financially commit as much as these other places. I will move on though to the second game between Leicester and Chelsea, which was like the biggest game of the week besides the Liverpool games, because the three teams, it's so exciting. It's like it's a who gets relegated to the Europa League. You know what I mean? Like the bottom of the table relegation is over. So it's like there's a top four fighting. The teams are 5-6 teams trying to stay in the top four and not get relegated to the Europa League. And now Chelsea has passed Leicester, who've been in the top for most, if not all, of the season. What did you feel going into this game, Neil?
I was very scared because I was not scared before the final. And then, the games like that final just tell me that it's still so premature to have any degree of trust in this team. And it's not their fault. It's just a bunch of, it's Kante, Silva, and a bunch of talented players.
You're a concept car.
Yeah, so
in a showroom, and you look good.
And
next year, when they start making, after you drive you a little bit, have the normal year of testing, you're gonna be an amazing fucking real car.
Yeah, but it hurts us in the meanwhile, right? Like that game, you could see the level. Kante was at a different level than the rest of the team, and it's fine. Like that, he's pretty much he and Silva. Although Silva is maybe 35 now, probably are only two really world class players. So. So when you have such a team, bad games can happen. Like even if the team is playing well, generally, you can have a bad, especially at in attack. We have so much of inexperience and so much of rawness that you can have the odd bad attacking game, and that's what happened in the first game. We woke up after 70 minutes when they've already given that goal away. So even like from mentality wise, like these guys are not used to playing these real high pressure games a lot. So I think it helped that after the FA Cup game, what that Leicester substitute Amarte did in the dressing room, he took the
Oh yeah,
Chelsea
yeah.
pennant and it's kind of disrespectful and a lovely moment. Like this is, I love fights. Like generally, I love shithousery fights. Like basketball, football. I love
you
fights. Like
you like
I think
you
they should
like you
mandate
like.
it. Like ice hockey, like you should
Oh,
have somebody on.
I was gonna say you like when you're watching a soccer game and a hockey game breaks out.
Yeah. I feel like there should be one guy, and for the longer, I think Rudiger is that guy in our team who's like, that's your job. And it was a pretty crunching tackle on Chilwell, and he just took off. But the best part about that entire sequence was Amartya was nowhere involved, but he was on the subs bench, and he came on, and because you have a mask on, it's not really easy to tell who's who. But at some point, Thiago Silva and Mount and Aspilicueta, the three guys who care the most for the team, you want them to realize it. They clocked that this is Amartya, and they went, okay, forget this thing. Like this doesn't matter anymore. Let's get on this guy. And yeah, that was very satisfying to see. And the aggression in the team throughout the 90 minutes was really good. But again, we have to like do 100 million things to score once. So it's always like, it's never going to be like a really comfortable game for Chelsea. Even if you just look at the game, it seems comfortable. The scoreline's never going to be comfortable.
Listen, man, next season you'll win the FA Cup. You got
I think that's a sack. If that's the best we can do next season, that's going to be a sack.
well, Lee, let me ask you, is that fair? Like, if next season, right, Lee, Man City get Harry Kane or Haaland or Lukaku or Lewandowski, right? They already won the league this year. So should all the coaches who finished behind Man City get sacked?
I don't think that. I think it depends how far behind they finish.
Yeah.
So I think next year.
Look how far they are now, and they're going to add one of those guys.
Yeah, but I think realistically, Chelsea need to be challenging next year.
Yeah.
I think there's too many quality teams to say that anyone has to win the league.
True.
I mean, Pep survived not winning the league because Liverpool were just that good that season. You know, Chelsea, City didn't turn around and go, right, Pep, you're fired, because Liverpool won the league once.
Because they're not stupid.
But I think Liverpool will be back next season. I think United will get stronger as well.
Maybe.
So I think that's next season's top four is City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and United in no particular order. And I think if any of those teams is too far away from the top or slips out the top four, then their coaches could be up for the sack. But I think, given Chelsea's record, Tuchel is probably the most at risk, just because Abramovich has that, short patience. Klopp obviously is quite cemented at Liverpool, Pep at City, and Ole seems to have the goodwill of the United board. So
Abramovich is like the Grim Reaper in a suit. He's got a suit and a sickle is like, isn't that on the Russian flag anyway?
Yeah, the communist symbol.
yeah. So it's like,
Ian, you see what Lee did there? He spoke of 4 teams. He did not mention Leicester. That's the cards that Leicester are playing with.
But that's why they have to commit, so that people put some respect on Leicester's name. But they keep doing Southampton style shit. So there's no respect on it, and no disrespect to Lee, but they
back to back.
I'm just saying they sell.
Yeah.
And this is an aside too. I was watching Match of the Day, and I was watching Roy Hudson. I want to apologize. You've been a really good coach. When Crystal Palace first got you. I think I was hung up on when Liverpool hired Roy Hodgson as coach. And I was like, he's not good enough to coach Liverpool. But Roy Hodgson is a really good guy, really good coach. And he's done a great job at Crystal Palace. And I was watching the beginning of the game when him and Arteta shook hands. And Arteta was smiling and giving him the honor guard because he's like, this team ain't going to beat my team because this guy's leaving. So, I got 3 points. But I was also like, shit, if Arsenal get rid of Arteta, he could get a job at Crystal Palace. So
Arteta?
Yeah, why not?
From what I read, I think that the people in contention are Sean Dyche and Frank Lampard for that job.
Crystal Palace?
Apparently Lampard turned it down.
Oh, really?
He thinks it's beneath him?
Not beneath him, but apparently he thinks it's too much of a rebuild.
Right.
They've got like so many players who are out of contract this season.
Oh yeah, there's like 11 players out of contract. Yeah.
Yeah, so many players who are old as well. I think it's a tough job for anyone really. Like Eddie Howe was linked, but I think he's pretty much confirmed he's going to Celtic. They're just waiting for some technicalities to get evened out there. So apparently Bournemouth, he has to wait until Bournemouth's season is officially over before he can sign a new deal with anyone. It was part of his severance for him to get the full money that Bournemouth paid him. So Bournemouth are in the playoffs still at the moment. So they have one game at the weekend against Brentford. If they win that, they go through to the final. So how to Celtic will happen once that's finished. But Palace, yeah, I mean, I don't know. For Dyche, it would be kind of a sideways move.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. But if he's going to go with some owners that's going to spend some money, the problem is his owners don't spend money. So it's like, do I mess with a bunch of dudes that spend a little bit more?
Yeah. Well, he might be bored. He might need to change the scenery. He's been at Burnley for a long time now. Sometimes you just need to freshen it up, and who knows? But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who does get that job, because I think Palace needs to get that right. Otherwise, they could be right in the middle of a relegation battle next season if they get the wrong guy.
Yeah, Roy has kept them out of relegation for the last 4 seasons. Only for the beginning few games when he got there were they in a relegation trouble, and then boom, they've been a consistent, like you expect to see Crystal Palace in the Premier League, and they've sold a player here and there, and then they still and then they found players too.
Yeah, so they've always been like a guaranteed under Hodgson. They'll finish somewhere between like 10th and 15th.
Yeah.
Without the danger of a relegation battle.
Yeah, comfortable for them. Damn, what else did I want to bring up? Waiting for Martin to get here so we can talk about this Harry Kane about to leave and what's the repercussions for Spurs. And we were talking about this last week, and now this shit is like, there is no doubt. But let's talk about Europa League then, I guess. West Ham has moved above Spurs, and everybody has one game. And first of all, so do you think? Let me go to this page.
Trying to look at the table.
Let me look at the tables. Let's look at the tables. Let's look at the tables. Let's talk top 4 first before we even, because this. So now you won, Neil, right? Yeah. You have Villa, right? If you win against Villa, are you in?
Yeah, for sure.
What if you draw against Villa?
Then we depend on what happens with we need, in that case, we need either one of Leicester or Liverpool to drop points.
Yeah, they can draw or lose, and you still stay in.
Either one of them. And then if we lose, then we need either one of them to lose. So, well, actually, I take that back. If Leicester draw, we'll still be fine because we'll be on the same points, but we have a better goal difference.
You have the better goal difference
by 3 goals.
So you're saying if you both lose?
Yeah.
Even if Leicester get a draw,
yeah.
Say that
Chelsea
again.
Lose by if Leicester draw, but Chelsea only lose by like 1 goal, then Chelsea still finish above.
I don't see us losing, but I wouldn't be surprised if we draw to like, even though it is Villa, the fact that
What do you mean
us,
it is with Grealish is back. They just beat Tottenham.
yeah, but um I mean, I still feel we can get the job done in
Mhm.
terms of at least like, keeping we concede very few chances. And in a game like this, where I don't think he's going to be making any of these maverick decisions like playing Kepa or whatever, I think we will be fine at the back. I just can't trust this team to like score.
Listen, I don't want to scare you, but Villa is tougher than you think. Like I'm looking at all these games, and so you got Villa, Liverpool got Crystal Palace. I think Liverpool definitely is going to beat Crystal Palace because
Yeah, I think
Roy
Liverpool
Roy
is
Roy
at
is
the
gone.
yeah.
It's like who you playing for, or they might be loose and have some fun. But Liverpool, I'll give that to Liverpool, and
And
then
they won 4 on the bounce now. I think they're gonna have their complete all systems go. They're gonna get this done.
well, they've got the most points in the whole league in the last 9 games.
Yeah,
So they're rolling, but who knows, man? Football is weird,
yeah.
And then Leicester has Tottenham. Harry Kane is leaving. You got an interim coach. They Reguilon is like, man, what a
I think
nightmare
what
of a
can
game.
happen is all 3 of us win, but Leicester will still go out because I don't see them going past Liverpool's goal difference.
Hmm.
It's a 4-goal difference, 20 and 24. So
To be honest, shit. I mean,
Leicester screwed up. Like this is it is completely out of their hands right now. I don't think a win is going to make
The Leicester loss to Newcastle was the one that killed them for me. Like that's the game. That's the game they should have been getting at least a draw from, but they should have been winning really at home as well. And then to concede 4 goals is that's if they don't qualify, that's the game that killed them. That one.
Yeah, they might be satisfied with the FA Cup too, on just another perspective, and be like, this is good enough for us. We're in Europa League.
They like very underrated, but like they conceded a lot of goals in the in the second half of the season. I mean, for a team that's known to be good, solid at the back, they're at 46 goals conceded right now. They might be somewhere near 50, but they after the last game. So that's really bad for like, you don't think Leicester has that as an issue that much.
All right. Covering up my mic because there's a garbage truck outside. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's some theme music.
No,
I think those Leicester fans must just be praying that Roy Hodgson gets his revenge on Liverpool, or Benteke gets some revenge on Liverpool. Benteke's in form right now as well. He should have got a red card, I think, against.
No, I don't think it was a red card. Well, the shoulder wasn't a red card, but this was a red card. Like when El Neni come over. First of all, who's paying attention to El Neni? Calm down, Benteke. Like just and you did this at the end of the season last season and got a red for the last few games of the season. So when we played Crystal Palace, he was gone as a threat. Or he did it in the end of a game against I forgot, but it's like, Benteke, calm down. But yeah, he's heating up. He's got like 7 or 8 goals.
He scored in the last 2 games at least, I think.
Yeah.
Possibly the last 3. So
he scored more goals this season than he did in his last 2 or 3 seasons. So, he's getting better. And then there's no Eze.
Oh yeah.
Eze's done for the season. But these are not the lowest team on the table that anybody has to face is
Liverpool facing Leicester. Sorry, Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think it'll be really I would feel really bad for West Ham if they miss out on. I know Lee, they face you guys, but
Yeah, Lee.
well, they have a decent cushion, just that their goal difference is bad. So if they lose, um, and Tottenham win, then yeah. Well, they just need a draw then in that case to have that sixth spot. West Ham just need a draw.
Yeah, their goal difference is way worse than Spurs.
Correct.
West Ham are on 12 and Spurs are on 21, so
Yeah.
they need to get something. But I think, I mean, we're the game against Leeds. We lacked a cutting edge. We looked like we were sort of done for the season. So I think if West Ham bring their usual game, then they'll get at least a draw.
Yeah, Leeds has been surging on anybody. You know, I think they beat Everton. I think they've been beating up on people. But yeah, I'm rooting for West Ham too, bro. 100%.
I mean, I actually feel like more than Leicester, if any team deserves something deserves something and be sad and injustice if they don't, it's actually West Ham if they miss out on European spot.
Yeah, I'm rooting for any team that'll help us make fun of Martin. I want to. So that's my main motivation. I want to see Tottenham relegated to the Continental League.
Is that what's going to happen? Who's in 7th right now?
They're 7th.
Oh, yeah. Joint points with Everton.
Joint points, and it would be hilarious if they get relegated to the Continental League and then Everton knock them out of the Continental League. and
no, only one English team goes there.
Well, like you say,
yeah. So Everton is on the same points as them. What if Spurs don't get no points against Leicester?
I think the bigger humiliation would be to play that league.
So what?
I think the bigger humiliation would be to actually play that league.
Harry Kane is trying to get out of playing that league. That's why he thought that. Oh, you Continental League? Oh no, I'm out. Sell me. Get what you can.
Well, like you said earlier, Ian, like Arsenal can still finish above them as well. If Spurs draw or lose and Arsenal win, then Arsenal can overtake them, and that would be the cherry on the cake. That would be
Oh man.
Oh man, this could be the funnest weekend of football ever. You know,
the last game, Aston Villa is playing Tottenham. John Terry's on the sidelines as the Villa assistant coach, and we finally have fans now. So the Spurs fans start singing this song about Ledley King being better than John Terry, and Terry turns around to the fans and then pretends to lift an imaginary trophy.
I know. Lee sent me the tweet.
Oh yeah. I
was like, why would they do that?
They always do that.
But it's not even. It's not even remotely funny because it doesn't remotely make sense. Like, but I guess that's the joke on themselves. But go ahead, Lee.
Ledley King is on the Spurs coaching staff with Ryan Mason. So Ledley King and John Terry were both stood in the technical areas.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
That's why the Spurs fans were singing it. They were sort of paying homage to Ledley King because he was stood in the technical area.
That's one good way to embarrass your assistant coach.
Yeah. Was Ledley King hobbling while he was in the technical area?
Probably. But then that brings us to the Chelsea Villa game as well, in that Villa with John Terry could stop Chelsea from getting into would he celebrate a Villa victory there?
Oh man, he's in the John Terry Belgium France situation.
I remember last season we were in the top 4, but there were a couple of games where we were like, if we had dropped points in those games, we would have gone outside the top 4. And I think we played Villa, and I think Villa scored first. And there's a shot of Terry and who's the other guy, Dean Smith. And Dean Smith's going bonkers, and Terry's got like this. This is a very sad. and like even now, like when you look at his Instagram, it's full. Like he just keeps sharing stuff about Chelsea. So of course he has that bond, but he's not afraid to even like yeah, despite being the assistant manager for another team, he's not afraid to publicly be visible about it.
Because he's just using Arsenal to learn
Yeah.
about he's using
Aston Villa.
to learn about football to become Chelsea's head coach.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
he does not want to pump
Yeah.
out Villa shit on his Instagram. You know what I mean? Like he's just using, learning, watching, is waiting for his time. Lampard's out the way now. That was going to be the first person they were going to give the opportunity to. Lampard's out the way. Who's next? I wonder. If Tuchel fails, or it's like, who's going to be next? So it's like, I don't want to disrespect the fan base.
Yeah.
I want me to be a head coach of the team I want to really be head coach of. So yeah.
If Chelsea win and qualify for the Champions League, maybe he'll like strip off the tracksuit, the full Chelsea kit on underneath.
Yeah, like right now, Lampard is using Villa like it's Wayne Bridges' wife.
Terry, you mean?
You know what I mean? So
he wasn't even his wife at the point. I don't get the big deal about it. He was an ex-wife. It's an ex-teammate's ex-wife. But the story is the teammate's wife. So anyways.
So Wayne Bridge wasn't married to her at the time.
No, I think they split up.
And then he slept with her.
Yeah. So the only person he really...
They were still teammates though.
I think he had left by then because he was... Oh, they were teammates at England. I'm sorry. Yeah. But he had left Chelsea.
But there's man rules. You know.
I know.
You don't sleep with your friend's ex, and
that's
ex-wife is like.
And Terry was married too.
I think that's the thing. Like he wronged his wife.
But nobody's concerned about that. They always Wayne Bridge.
Yeah, like as if you like that's a little like office-ish to me. Like she's not his property. She's free to do what she wanted to do,
and she did,
or who she wanted to do.
Yeah, she did. So we talked about who's gonna finish where, kind of all of that. The Spurs, and I'm kind of like holding off for Martin.
Let's talk about the Brighton Man City game was interesting.
Yeah, who was that old ass guy in goal? Where did they?
that was Scott Carson against Newcastle.
Scott, English Carson, who coughs up goals in the World Cup. I'm like, why didn't they start the American?
Like a decade ago.
Yeah, why didn't they start the? I was like, is that the goalkeeper? I was like, how did you get the goalkeeper coach on the roster to start a Premiership game?
I think it was just pure sentiment because he's leaving. They just wanted to throw him a game because he's popular there, like behind the scenes. So I think they just wanted to throw him a game. But that was like City have had two crazy games this week because that game against Newcastle was crazy, and then the game against Brighton was crazy as well.
Yeah,
like two insane games.
Like I like how Nathan Ake keeps proving to Man City you shouldn't have bought me. Yeah, it's like the only person who had a worse game this week than him was Reguilon.
Yeah, that was a great finish though.
Yeah, something I wish Dele Alli could do that up the other end.
See, that is unsavable.
I was about to say, did you see Pep and Graham Potter at the end of the Brighton City game as well, having a bit of aggression going on there?
Yeah.
The whole City coaching staff went for Potter actually because he celebrated the first goal in their faces.
What is he supposed to do? He scored against Man City.
Yeah,
he
apologized.
And you're Brighton Hove. Yeah.
And that guy, Graham Potter, he probably showed some passion for the first time in his entire life. That's the way you treat him?
That's what
he's never going to say anything after this now. He's going to go back to his shell.
Yeah, it's hilarious. You don't want to piss Pep off.
Yeah.
But Pep was nice to him before the game. Pep called him the best English manager currently.
Which is so disrespectful to English managers. Because this guy who's just survived a relegation battle, is like the best English manager.
And you should never take Pep's praises at face value. And we learned it the hard way. Like the amount of time he kept praising Maurizio Sarri and then kept beating us with Sarri. Like that was pretty insane. Like I think Pep, like he'll never, if he rates you, like if he's afraid of you, he'll never praise you.
It's like a pat on the head, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of patronizing. Yeah,
But it didn't work on Potter though. Potter beat him and
Potter
then
beat him, yeah.
celebrated in his face. So,
So good.
Yeah,
Good
see
for
now,
you,
praise
Potter.
him now, praise him now, praise him after the game. I want to see that.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see Spurs future coach getting under Pep's skin. You know what I mean? Because
Oh my God, Martin will
Potter-
die.
Martin will die. Like, I can't even wait for Martin. We got to get into this. Harry Kane, announced, hey man, I want to be out. I want to win some shit. I don't want to have a career with regrets. And Spurs' worst nightmare is happening because they're 7th. They might finish 8th or 9th. And that is with Harry Kane. So where are they going to finish without Harry Kane? And whoever comes in needs to get them a defense first. And let me just propose this. If you were a Spurs fan, don't you regret not trying to stay in the Super League? Because the Super League would have been the only way for you to keep Harry Kane. Of all the teams and all the fans that wanted their team to come out of the Super League, being in the Super League after this season is the only way Spurs could afford to keep Harry Kane and promise him that we're going to spend money and get all the players that we need, because the Super League would have provided the funds and the money for Spurs to keep Kane and become an actual elite club. Do you think there's regrets from the fans now?
I think he wants to win. He just doesn't want to participate in a Super League or a Champions League. I think he wants to win at this point. He's had that phase of his life. So only thing would have happened if Spurs was in the Super League is that instead of getting beaten on the regular by Chelsea, United, City, they'd be getting beaten on the regular by Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus. So
true, but he'd prefer that. He'd prefer that to getting beat by Aston Villa. You know?
Yeah, I just feel he would have left either ways. Like I think he realizes now.
If he was in the Super League, if the Super League happened, why would he leave?
Because he wants to win. He's not gonna win anything with Spurs. Like he might as well retire right now because he's earned enough money, he's scored enough goals. The rest of his life is just gonna be on cruise control at Spurs. You know, Alan Shearer went to Newcastle and he did a lot of things, scored a lot of goals, but it just like, okay, it's happening, but it like it's not leading to anything. So
you're saying Alan Shearer made a career mistake?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's probably one of the worst mistakes anybody. Like Alex Ferguson was on the phone to you 5 times, and you decide to go to Newcastle. That's just crazy.
Newcastle was like a top team at the time, though. They had who's the Liverpool coach, didn't they? After Keegan, they had Keegan, and then after that they had, Dalglish. So it's like they it's funny how these teams, for a small window of time, they make a commitment to become an elite team, and then they're like, nah, we're not doing that, and then they're out. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Lee?
I think Kane just looked at. I saw a stat earlier, which was like Pochettino has been at PSG for like 80 days or something, and he's won 2 trophies already. He's won the French League Cup and the French Cup, and he was at Spurs for like 4 years or 5 years and won nothing. So I think Kane looked at that and went, "Oh, that's what happens if you leave there." You can
right.
On the same lines, I have another stat. So I think Jermaine Defoe, he won something somewhere. I don't even know where he won this.
Rangers,
Rangers.
the
Okay.
SPL, yeah, Rangers.
Right. So he won that, right? He is the 87th player who has left Spurs and won a trophy since the last time Spurs won something.
Oh shit!
That's 87 of them.
Damn.
So
you have to repeat that when Martin gets back on.
So basically, where Harry Kane is right now, these 87 players have done better than him from an overall macro perspective of you actually getting moments to celebrate.
Let me ask you a question. If, say, we had won the World Cup, right?
Yeah.
somehow magically would Kane had stayed at Spurs, would he be like, I won that, so that could hold me over? Or would he still want to be out now?
Nah, I think he'll still be out.
Yeah.
I
Even
think
more?
apparently he's got an agreement with Levy, that some sort of
He
gentleman's
thinks
agreement that
he
can
thinks
go,
he
but-
has a gentleman agreement with Levy. What an
But
idiot.
I
The
think
worst, like, it's like having an agreement with the Bond villain. Yeah, so okay, you have that. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, we'll let your wife live just as long as you give us the formula. Yeah, come on, give us the formula. We got you.
Well, I actually do think he'll honour it. That now that he's come out publicly and said he wants to leave, and
Yeah,
the stuff I'm reading here is that Man City is actually his number one destination, his preference. Apparently, he wouldn't go to Chelsea out of respect for the Spurs fans, and United will be his second choice. So I think he's going north one way or another, unless one of the Spanish clubs comes in and throws some big money there. But I think City could end up being the one, which would be interesting.
makes sense.
It guarantees you
Yeah,
a title, the Premier League title.
Mm.
Like it guarantees you something, especially if I was him, because I don't know what's up with Real Madrid. I don't know what's up with Barcelona. I don't know if
Aguero is going to go to Barca, so that'll be the move. So Kane goes into City, Aguero goes to Barca.
Why would Barca do that? Are they because Aguero and Messi are best friends, and you just want to keep Messi?
probably.
It's bad business for Barcelona because I respect Aguero,
yeah,
but
he's past his peak.
he's past his peak and he's injury prone. Like, what are you doing? Like,
but I don't think Barcelona can afford to pay for an actual number 9 who's good at the moment, like who's in the prime of their career right now. They have a lot of financial issues.
they had one, and they sold him to Atletico, who might
Oh
be
yeah,
the
that's true.
champions.
Yeah, that was a
And now, how old is Aguero?
I think 33,
32, 33. Yeah.
And how old is what's his name?
Suarez.
He's 34, I think.
Okay. But he's a leading scorer in La Liga now, right? Or is he still maybe Messi's? Lost past him, I don't know.
Yeah, that was a bad
but he was
move,
up there. But it's like old guy for old guy. You got rid of somebody because he was old, and you got somebody who's 2 years younger but still old and more injury prone.
I think
no, Messi is the top scorer by a long way in La Liga. He's on 30, which is unreal. You forget how
when did he do that?
And then Suarez is in 4th on 20. So Benzema's on 22, and Gerard Moreno from Villarreal is on 23. So Messi's like 7 goals clear of even the second place.
I see. Benzema got back in the French squad.
Yeah.
So.
I think enough time has passed since his issues, and Valbuena, who he was trying to blackmail, isn't anywhere near the French
team. It's no longer in the picture.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bond villains, hey Martin, what's up? Spurs champs, what? That's what says that the Spurs champs 2022. You might as well say Trump 2022. that has more validity.
Or does he mean Europa Conference champions?
Oh yeah.
I'll take it.
That's smart. That's smart of you. It's the smartest thing you ever said, Mark. You'll take it because you might have to. As a matter of fact, Arsenal or Everton might knock you out of contention of being in the Continental League. So
no, I mean Everton might finish higher than us. Arsenal, I don't think.
I don't know, bro. They're right there.
It's only 1 game left.
Yeah, let's see who they got to play.
Arsenal playing Brighton.
They can beat Brighton. Brighton's difficult, but they can be beat. Everton's playing Man City, so they have a less chance of doing it. And Spurs is playing Leicester, who are desperate. So if you tie, Arsenal could beat you, bro. Arsenal could pass you.
I think we'll beat Leicester because I think there's a little bit of a pride for that, especially for Harry Kane. If it's the farewell, if that's the last game, to knock Leicester out of the Champions League will be something bittersweet for Harry Kane, who had the best chance of winning the title in that year when Leicester won it. And that was the best season for the Spurs. And it was arguably the best team in the league at the time, Tottenham. And they just couldn't finish a couple of games, but that was the best season for them.
Yes. Where was your pride against Villa? Why would it show up now? When you were home, there were fans. Now you're going on the road.
You know how it goes. When it goes wrong, man. It's time to change the team. I'm actually very happy. I'm actually very positive. I see good signs of great change. We're gonna sell Kane for good money. And we're going to replace him with a striker that will win some titles. So we'll replace him with a bunch of very good players. We'll change the team, and it's a very positive. It's the start of a great new Tottenham.
This sounds like a guy whose wife is leaving him, and he's like, I never loved her anyway. Like, I'll find someone. I'll find someone new and hotter.
There's so-called Ewing theory. Bill Simmons talks about him on the Ringer podcast. You know, sometimes you need to sell your best star to win. You know, it happens with United. When you sell Cristiano Ronaldo,
Martin, I'm going to let you finish that statement. Bill Simmons, may mean in Patrick Ewing?
He said Ewing theory, like that. The Knicks got to the final without Patrick Ewing when Patrick Ewing couldn't play, and they were, you know, that's his theory. That sometimes you do better if you don't have a team built around one player.
We didn't get to the final. We didn't get to the. He got injured, I think, in the playoffs. Like, I'm a Knicks fan.
1999, yeah.
I'm a Knicks fan. We lost, I think, to the Spurs or something.
Yeah.
And
you arguably played better because you were the 8th seed. You arguably played better without Patrick Ewing. And that's the so-called Ewing theory that Bill Simmons often talks about.
After Patrick Ewing left the Knicks, we've been downhill since. I just want you to know that. We've been one of the worst teams.
Not this year.
Not this year, but that's 20 years later, bro. Yeah. So when this Ewing theory,
you're a Knicks fan. I don't know.
Yeah. When this Ewing theory takes effect on Spurs 20 years from now, good luck, bro. Because Bill Simmons, there is a Ewing theory, but it takes a while to get into action based on what you're saying now. Martin, you're 7th right now. You might finish 9th, and that's with Harry Kane. How you have no defense. Now you're going to lose your leading scorer.
And we're going to buy some defenders for that money. If we spend the money right, everything will be great. Look,
you sound like a mid-table team.
For big money. And you replace him with a bunch of very good players. Same with Chelsea. You sold Hazard. And you actually sold David Beckham earlier than that, you know, and you've been able to replace him. So, you know.
Martin, you know, when we sold those guys, right, one was right after a Champions League final win. Mm-hmm. So we're in the top 4. And the other one was pretty much we were in the top 4. You are 7th. You might be below that. How are you going to attract top talent? Here's the problem with Spurs. Like, you have to, this is for your own sanity. You have to realize where you are. And you have to, like, almost make a concession to make next season a rebuilding season and not try to go for upper echelon players. You have to, like, pull a Leicester and look for the best players who will be the next best players. You can't try to just say what?
I disagree with that.
And that's where you're gonna.
If we sell Kane for 170 million,
you're not good.
Why not? That's what he's worth. We're not gonna sell him for 50 mil. We're not gonna sell him for 50 mil. We're gonna sell him for at least 130, 140 mil. That's at least. That's what we're gonna sell him for. He has contract for 3 more years. You know, it's not like we have to sell him. We don't have to sell him. But let's say we do sell him. We're gonna get enough money to buy 3 or 4 really good players.
But why would the really good players come there? You know, if you're okay with, I think what will really be the biggest.
Listen, Chelsea finished one of the seasons finished I think 9th. One season finished 11th. You know that.
We didn't buy it. You know who we got? We got a one-season wonder at the time, N'Golo Kante. We got Marcos Alonso with credentials like Bolton Wanderers and Fiorentina. We got David Luiz, who was pretty much, we sold him and we had to get him back.
He was
And-
very good for you guys for a while. He was good.
He was, but none of these guys were
was
like,
well
you know,
known.
established world class. That because we knew we at that point could not attract that kind of talent, even though we had, you know, we had the pedigree of a really good manager coming in, Antonio Conte. I think that would be one of the big first signs.
Yes, the
What level
manager.
of manager are you able to attract? Because
Okay, let's say we
forget
get
the player. That's also going to be
say
something
we
else.
get Conte. Let's say we get Rodgers. Let's say we get Rodgers. Rodgers slips to fifth. He leaves Leicester. He's like, I can't do it anymore. We're in the Champions League places for 90% of the time, and we
It's going to be
finish-
crazy if he leaves
No.
Leicester for.
Let me finish. And he's like, hey guys, can you give us the game? So I look kind of decent in the last game of the season. So I make it to the Champions League. Can you give me this game and I'll come next season to you guys? And we're like, okay. Here you have that.
That's illegal. That's illegal.
We'll screw Chelsea together. We'll just like.
The only way when Rodgers would be okay with that deal is if he can bring the rest of the entirety of the Leicester squad along with
No,
him.
not the entirety. Would take probably Chilwell because Reguilon. I mean, there's a reason Real Madrid.
Chilwell.
He's
He's with Chelsea.
Sorry, not Chilwell. What's the Belgian guy who replaced Chilwell?
Tillam.
Castagna.
No, not Clemens. What's his name?
Castagna, yeah.
You know which guy I'm talking about, right? The left.
Do you? Do you know which guy you're talking
Yeah, the
about?
guy they got the Belgium guy.
Castagna. He's
Castagna.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I won't take him. I'll take Tielemans and I'll take Madison maybe, and then we're good.
Martin,
Schmeichel.
it's
I'll
that
take
simple. It's that simple.
I'll take Schmeichel.
It's that simple.
My main worry is that if Kane leaves, because Spurs need to spend so much money on the rest of the team, that they'll come and get Ings from us for like 30 million or something because he's in the final year of his contract.
Listen,
So that's my worry, that they come and get him from us.
How old is Ings?
He's 29, 30.
as a second striker, I don't mind Ings. I don't mind Ings actually, and because
Martin, he might be your first striker.
Primary striker.
or maybe even first striker if we have the
Yeah.
right players around him.
He's if he stays fit, yeah, he's a good one.
Why not? Why not? If we have Son, we have some good defense and probably new goalkeeper. We need a new goalkeeper.
Martin,
in my opinion.
here's
No,
the problem. You're not thinking. You're thinking. Let's get back instantly. You have to think like Liverpool when Klopp got there. You need to there's 3 teams going down. Which players from those 3 teams going down would you pick? You need to start looking at Pereira. You know what I'm saying? You need to start trying to poke around Fulham for Lookman. You know what I mean?
He's on loan.
We have better players than Lookman on our team right now. You think more?
No, Lookman is constant. He's constant. He's like when he plays, no matter what team he's playing, like an upper echelon team in the Premier League, mid-table, he's one of the best players on the field. So he's better than what you think. And that's what Klopp did. He saw the Wijnaldums, he saw the Manes. You're like even Neil was suggesting, and I was suggesting earlier, you can't be like, let me get these top players. You got to get the players that feel like it's a step up for them. And then they can grow into the next step up. We're going to get this player. We're going to get that. First of all, everybody's going to know you have $100 million. And they're going to try to get that.
But they're going to have more than that, though. They're going to have more than that. They're probably going to have around 200 million because
we can get from the leagues that, it's also the wages structure. I mean, English league is by far the best wages, the best contracts. So they make the most money, players. So we can attract players from Leipzig. We can attract players from Borussia Dortmund. We can attract players from Italian league. We can attract players from maybe not Barcelona, Real Madrid, but from Atletico Sevilla. We can attract players from France. Easily, we can attract those players, and we'll pay 30, 40 million, for them, which will be enough for, let's say, Lazio or Borussia Dortmund or Leverkusen or whatever. We bought some from Leverkusen. We can find players there.
I think and you will have more money because it's not just the 130 million or whatever from Kane. You'll have probably another 70 million from Son because he will leave too. So
I'll keep him. I'll sell a few other. I'll sell probably Dele Alli. He played some good games lately. He looks like he needs a new challenge. I would probably sell Lucas Moura for like.
Son will cry. I've seen him cry at a red card.
Yes,
He will
yeah.
literally
cries all
cry,
the
start
time.
crying
He's
at the training grounds if you
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
let him leave.
He's a guy.
He's-
I like them. He's emotional. He's a
Ye-
sensitive guy.
Yeah, but you don't want
Good guy.
that you don't want that on your hands. You don't want that kind of blood on your hands.
Yeah,
No,
I can see him being subbed in and crying.
I
on the
think that
sideline.
Son actually played very well without Harry Kane, and I think he can be the striker. He actually can play as a striker, and if you pair him up with someone like Ings, they can play with two strikers.
You know how low Son's self-esteem has to be for him to want to stay at Spurs.
Oh,
Let me ask you a question. Who's your ideal coach now? Because that's you know, I think
ideal
Lisa
or
just
realistic coach? Ideal
Huh?
or realistic or ideal?
both.
Allegri will be their
Since
ideal.
Ryan Mason exhibited that he doesn't want to be a head coach in the
No,
league
it's not
the
that
way.
he doesn't want to be a head coach. He's 29 years old. I mean, he's a kid for a coach. I would keep him around as a Spurs guy.
Nagelsmann was a kid, came in and did some shit in Germany.
29 years old, first coaching job ever in a very difficult situation. I mean, you can't expect him to become, to compete with Klopp and all those guys. I mean, it's just not
Not
easy.
Klopp, but he played Villa. He played.
No, I mean, he
He played
competed.
some teams. He lost some games he could have won, bro.
He could have won, and I watched the game against Villa. I was kind of unlucky the way it happens because we're attacking, we scored, we kept attacking, and then Reguilón scored like one of the most freakish goals you can imagine. That was just a freakish goal.
Let me tell you something. Reguilón was involved in both those games. Like after the first goal, I was shocked that the Villa fans didn't run up to Reguilón and slide into him and hug him. For
I
that
know,
goal.
I agree.
That's how much
dominating the
of
game.
it. And then also when he gave up the pass, they should have slid in over to him and hugged him like he was a teammate for the assist on the second goal. Like that's how bad that was.
But I'll tell you one thing. There's a Villa team and there's a Villa team. There's a Villa team with Grealish and there's a Villa team without Grealish. We slept on Villa a little bit in the last couple of months because they didn't have Grealish. But with Grealish, it's a completely different team.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, I'm just warning you, Neil, that the last game won't be a catwalk for you guys. I mean, you play one of the best players in the Premier
I
League.
told him.
Which I agree with you now, Ian. I didn't value him enough. I mean, his value is tremendous.
It's like Newcastle. Did you see Saint Maximum this weekend?
Yeah.
That motherfucker is a monster. No COVID. He's better. It's the end of the season. Is a fucking terrorizer.
I think that's the kind of player, Martin, you should go after Saint Maximin. I think
Yes.
Grealish is gonna be out of your league, but Saint Maximin, that guy, somebody like Adama Traore,
We would have
Yes.
to overpay Grealish. We would have to pay like 70, 80 mil for him to get him.
but
that's not-
like one of the top 4 clubs will do that too, so you'll probably get priced out there.
But they kind of stuck at his position, the top clubs. Like they would buy him as a luxury because I don't see him breaking into one of the top clubs to the starting lineup. Where?
No, he can play for
Nah.
any of our teams.
No,
I
like,
think.
let's say- where would you
Martin,
put
he
him
plays
United?
for England.
Well, where would you put him at United?
Where would I put him in the United?
Yeah, Fernandez and Pogba.
We don't really need him at United. He
That's what I'm
doesn't
saying.
fit. Yeah.
Liverpool doesn't need him. And
No,
United
he'll play where Rashford plays,
On the
No.
left, cutting in.
on the left, cutting in. Yeah.
He plays on the left for Villa quite frequently.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he needs the ball. He needs to be like in Fernandez type of a role.
No, he doesn't. He's a left-sided.
No,
player.
he's like Hazard basically. I mean, you play on the left, but you're
He
pretty
needs-
much given a free role.
He needs the
to
ball.
go
He needs the
anywhere.
ball a lot. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and if any of these teams want to win the next season, you can't have like a counter attack. You will end up playing a lot with the ball.
Yeah, but
So-
he needs the ball. He's perfect actually for the Spurs in that term because we didn't have a player like that since Eriksen left, who is kind of monopolizing the ball a little bit,
Bro,
setting guys
if-
up. We don't have that
if
player.
you had Traore, oh no, my bad. If you had Saint Maximum
No, I'll
and
take him. I'll take him.
and Harry Kane, or now Saint Maximin and Son, it's like
And
the problem.
Ings. Yeah.
The problem, Ings, just somebody forward to get the ball to.
Saint Maximum, Ings, Adama Traore. That'd be a great front three
No,
for Spurs next
you know,
season.
I was actually very high on Traore, but Ian cooled me down a little bit, and now I agree with Ian.
No, I like. No, listen.
Yeah, but he's
Traore-
up and down. He's up and down.
No, he's not up and down. The problem with Traore is there was somebody to get
You mean
the
the
ball.
Wolves story? The
No,
Wolves story.
listen. There was somebody to get the ball to, and that was
But-
Jimenez. But
oh,
Jimenez got
because-
injured.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how much you go down the side, how much you cross the ball. When there's nobody to cross the ball to, like the guy
no, you're
that
right.
he had a
I thought you were talking about Aston Villa.
symbiotic relationship with is gone. Like the 18-year-old kid, they're not on the same level. Like so that this season is not Traore's fault at all. It's David Luiz's fault for taking Jimenez out for the season. And
By the way,
I thought about
ruined.
Traore. I thought about the Aston Villa Traore.
Oh, I like that Traore.
Bertrand. Yeah,
He's up and
Bertrand
down.
Traore.
Oh yeah, we are talking about the Wolves Traore.
Yeah, but
I was
again, the Villa Traore is growing into this league. He's
he's good.
He's good, bro.
He's
So,
good. I mean, I used to be a fan of his when he was on Chelsea's books back in the day.
Yeah.
He
That's why you got fined, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I think Spurs or any team actually wants to take a really cheap blinder on somebody, this new kid from Aston Villa, the guy who came off the bench yesterday, Chukwuemeka, I think is the way his he's gonna be, I think, a really
I'm
good
glad you
player.
had to say that name.
Because I've seen him a couple of times playing against Chelsea Academy, and he's very highly rated in those age groups. And the fact that at 70 he's already playing Premier League football now, I think some team better get to him early.
He looked comfortable out there.
Yeah.
So Martin, I cut you off. I asked you the question. I cut you off. Your ideal coach.
I mean, Allegri would be ideal coach, but I would take Conte too. Those are the ideal coaches, probably. I think we'll end up with either Rodgers or.
No way. There's no way Conte's gonna come to.
I'm sorry, Neil. Let him finish. These are it's just, you know what, the beautiful part of this podcast is the comedy of it, and Martin provides a lot of comedy. Let him say his punchlines. You know what I'm saying? So you said Conte and who?
Conte and Allegri are the ideal ones, but I'm afraid we're gonna hire Rodgers probably.
You know, we just mentioned his name from Brighton Hove. Is also being considered.
That's your manager. That's not my manager.
Well, there was a big link today in the media, which is the interim coach at Dortmund, Edin Terzic, has now been thrown in there because obviously Marco Rose from Gladbach is going into Dortmund next season. Terzic just won the German Cup, so apparently he's on the shortlist now. He's already lifted one more trophy than Spurs have in the last 50 years.
God damn it.
We don't even have to try.
We're both lifting so many trophies that we have.
We don't expect to win anything though. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Expect to win.
So, but Martin, that's more in line where I think Spurs expectations should be. Like, you should raise a coach. Like, you kind of raised Pochettino. You didn't. Southampton did, but then this guy who finally got Dortmund together, and Dortmund got together after injuries and stuff like that, and he got them back into the Champions League spots and won the thing after, and Dortmund has injuries like Witzel, who's like the 10th pole, for the Big Ten of the whole Dortmund. He's gone pretty much for the season, and this guy had to like get in there and straighten this team out. Like, you need someone like that can recognize young talent, and because I'm sure Spurs has a great young camp.
We have money, so I expect Levy to really go for a top coach. I expect him to sign probably someone like Conte, Allegri, or and my prediction for next season is that unfortunately we're gonna lose in the FA Cup final, but we'll win the title.
But this is madness.
I think I know Martin's not a fan, but I would be very shocked if a team higher up the table doesn't go in for Graham Potter in the summer, because I think it's been very under Graham Potter at Brighton. I think it's been very underrated, the kind of season he's had. If you look at all the underlying stats of the way Brighton play, Brighton's not even like top half of the table. They're pretty much in the top 6 in both of goals scored and goals conceded. So
Game
he
against
just needs
Pittsburgh.
better players. He just needs
And-
better clinical players.
And he's achieved those stats with his best player out for most of the season,
Lamptey, yeah.
Lamptey.
Well,
Yeah.
Potter's very good at everywhere he's been. When he was at Östersunds in Sweden, when he was at Swansea, and when he's at Brighton, he's great at having a very clear philosophy and coaching it well.
Yeah.
So his team, like, you know exactly how his teams play, but it's so effective. And I think it'd be interesting to see what he could do at a bigger club. I think there's still an element of risk there, just because he's not managed the level of egos, with the expectations. Because at Brighton, the only expectation is don't go down. When he was at Swansea, he got them towards the top, but they were in huge transition because the whole team had left pretty much. And at Östersunds, they came from nowhere. They got promoted from like the 4th division of Swedish football all the way up to the top. And then he went they were always underdogs. They went and played Galatasaray in the Europa League and beat them. They played Arsenal. They lost over 2 legs, but he won one of the games against Arsenal. So he's always been an underdog. So it'd be interesting.
So he's never
somewhere.
done
No,
badly.
but this is perfect. Spurs is an underdog. Like for us to be talking about Spurs,
Yeah, like a
like
mid-table, like a stepping stone.
Spurs is scamming the entire of European football. They're pretending that there's some. First of all, Martin, Spurs, like anybody's more likable as an underdog, and I don't know why Spurs fans and Spurs as a team doesn't want to accept their underdog role. They just present themselves as these winners who's never won anything, as opposed to like everybody loves Leicester. Even if they beat your team, you're like, I respect Leicester. And Spurs hasn't won anything, but everybody dislikes them just because of the mentality. And it's like being an underdog and accepting that, and then winning as an underdog will get you more fans. But this arrogance of this entire organization and the fans and stuff like that it's not it doesn't help, bro.
No, I understand, but I think with the changes, we'll compete for the title next year, and we'll prove how.
I'm done.
Yeah,
it's a bit early in the day there to be drinking, isn't it?
He is Eastern European.
Polish is as Polish does.
Give some inks.
Kings. They're just gonna.
I'm worried he'll go. Like it's a very feasible transfer. It's I mean he's a mid-table level player. So
he was at Liverpool, man. He got injured. You never know. He could be good success at Liverpool if he wasn't.
No. I think he could go to somewhere like Spurs and score 15 to 20 goals a season easy.
That's perfect. That's all I need from him, really.
Yeah, which is why I'm worried he might go and do it.
It's almost like, but that's the same thing again. It's like Spurs has top of the table mentality, right? When you should be having like a Leeds mentality. You have a Bamford. Yeah, like if you want somebody, Bamford has 14 goals. Villa got
the Champions League final. You can
Ollie Watkins, but that's one time. It's like somebody said on the podcast earlier.
That wasn't even in the Premier League 2 years ago. You can't compare a team that finished in the top 4 for 4 years in a row to a team that wasn't even in the Premier League.
Bro, I have a suspicion if you don't get this right during the transfer window and the coach hiring, you could be in a relegation battle next season. I'm not even poking a joke. This is some. I'm not worried because the Spurs is not my team, but you're going to lose Harry Kane, and you've seen teams spend money wrong before.
Move on.
No, you're going to sell him for money, but you've seen teams spend money before, or the players that they bought don't acclimate on the schedule that the team needs, even if they're not bad buys. And, this is going to be, you might have the biggest stadium for a team in a championship ever.
Oh, come on. Come on. You haven't won a title in a long time. So win a title first and then relegate Spurs after that.
I don't know. We won titles recently, bro.
No, not titles.
Yeah, we got trophies.
Some trophies.
We're in another final.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in another final.
Win the league.
What?
Win the league.
Well, I'm not gonna judge us at the standard that a Spurs fan is telling me to judge us. I would never do that.
Win the league.
Yeah, win the league, just like Spurs did in 1967.
Oh,
recently.
all right. Neil has a stat for you. Hit him.
Oh yeah. So Martin, Jermaine Defoe over the weekend, I think they won the Scottish League, and he is the 87th player to have left Spurs and won a title or a trophy of any kind since the last time Spurs won a trophy.
Well, that's obvious, So,
But it's 87 of them. It's not. I was thinking it'd be close to like 57, but it's 87.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, he's at the end of his career. He didn't play much for Rangers, and great for him. I mean, I've seen him 6 years ago. As a matter of fact, together with Ian, we've seen him in the MLS 5-6 years ago. He was already old back then. So good for him that he can finish his career and winning with Gerrard, win the title is great. I'm happy for him.
So Gerrard is undefeated in the Scottish League. So let's mention that.
Invincible season.
They had an invincible season. Is Gerrard going to stay there? Is some Premiership team going to try to grab him?
I told you.
He'll
2 years ago. I told you my theory 2 years ago. Let me say it one more time because it will happen. I said it 2 years ago. On the same day, Steven Gerrard signed a deal with the Rangers, whereas Jurgen Klopp signed a new deal with Liverpool, and they both end on the same day in 2024. On the same day, Klopp's contract with Liverpool expires, and Gerrard's contract with Rangers expires.
But Gerrard, it's a waste of Gerrard's time to spend another 3 years in the. If you go by that timeline, to spend another 3 years in the Scottish League, he should probably go somewhere else, like in between.
It's even a waste of Klopp's time to spend 3 more years at Liverpool. So why would Gerrard spend 3 more years at Rangers? Go ahead, Lee.
Gerrard is going to spend
Liverpool.
Go ahead, Lee.
Gerrard's going to spend at least 1 more season at Rangers, though. He won't go anywhere this summer because he's spoken like he's actually got quite an affinity with the fans there.
Right.
They've got Champions League for the first time in God knows how long, and I think he'll want to lead them into the Champions League. So he'll do at least 1 more season. But I think, in terms of if looking at it sensibly, he should take another stepping stone before Liverpool. He should maybe do that either in Europe somewhere or with a Premier League team that's somewhere like a sort of a mid-table size club. But we'll see. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if after Rangers he does go straight in, but that won't be in 2024. I don't think Klopp will stay there till 2024, and I don't think Gerrard will be at Rangers until 2024. So maybe in 1 year, maybe in 2 years, it'll happen prior.
So Martin, you're right, but you're off. Like Klopp doesn't have to see out the end of his contract, but he's a guy that does like to see out the end of his contracts. I think he did at Dortmund, but. Yeah, I don't think he needs practice at a mid-table team. I think like Gerrard practicing at a mid-table team might actually hurt him more than help him.
If he fails, which is quite conceivable.
Yeah, because those mid-table teams, they promise you things. They're like, they're like the older, they're like the player boyfriend that doesn't want to commit to the girl, but says all the right things. And then once you, all right, I'll be your girlfriend, they like, don't give you half the things that you talked about. So I would only get into bed if I was Gerrard with the reputation that he's developed for himself now with like a legit, team that's going to give him everything he wants. It's just
a tough one though to like make that decision, because if the Liverpool job isn't waiting for you in 24 months,
I think
what job do you go to that
Martin,
you can still have?
go ahead,
if you go to a club and things don't really work out, then that job is probably not there for you anymore.
Yeah,
it's tricky.
But if he stays at Rangers the whole time, there's no guarantee that his stock will stay as high as it is right now. Like Celtic under Eddie Howe could wipe the floor with them. He could get knocked out of the Champions League embarrassingly, not winning a single point in the group stage or something, and then all of a sudden his stock is lower again. So it's a tough one. I think he needs to be ambitious. I could see him maybe like if Rodgers did 1 more season at Leicester, like Gerrard could go somewhere like that and do 1 or 2 seasons there before Liverpool. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to follow his career now because I could see him being like a future England manager one day as well.
Yeah.
Lampard. Speaking of those guys, Lampard's being linked with the England under 21 position that's available right now, which would be interesting.
That's cool.
I heard he turned that down.
Really?
Yeah. Because I think the only point of taking the England under 21 job is if there's some sort of understanding that you're next in line for the main job.
Yeah.
I don't think he has anything. Yeah, I don't think there's anything for Lampard to learn, coaching the under 21s at this point.
But you don't see many Premier League managers move into that role. It's normally people that have come through the FA system, or it's people that have managed in the lower leagues.
Like generally, like managers who have ambitions don't take up national team roles. It very rarely does that happen. Like
I just think this is such a great story. Where if he goes to Liverpool, I think all Liverpool fans will sign up on that. He was a legend. He's a fan himself. It's a perfect spot, especially if he can deliver as a manager, and it looks like he's a really good manager, which doesn't surprise me because I spoke to him several times. He's a very eloquent guy. He has presence. Like I was in the room with him. Like he had presence. Gerrard. Like you can feel it. Lampard is a very nice guy. Gerrard can be nice too, but he has presence. You really feel his presence in the room. Like people respect him a lot. He's got this charisma about it, and I think he'll be a very, very strong manager.
Yeah, I mean, I respect him, and I'm a Man U fan. To be honest, he was one of my favorite players, and I'm a Man U fan. And he just the way he carried himself on the field, it kind of made you feel like when somebody feels like they're a man's man, it doesn't matter who they play for, you become a fan of them. And I feel like when a man's man walks into a locker room, and especially if he knows how to coach, that's just some extra sauce that is going to be tough for anybody to compete against. That's just pluses. So,
he needs to hope it goes better than Lampard at Chelsea.
Well, listen, what he did is pretty amazing because it was Celtic's league for the last 10 plus years. He was a Celtic to win the league. With that much advantage over Celtic, to win it back for Rangers, it's one of the biggest rivalries in sports.
Undefeated,
And to do it in that style, I mean, how that's the best start of a managerial career you can imagine.
There's also another guy with him though called Michael Beale, who is his assistant, who worked with Gerrard at Liverpool's academy, but he really made his name at Chelsea. He was in the Chelsea academy coaching, he coached the generation of Mount and Abraham and all those guys.
Oh, shit.
He's a very smart coach. I've heard him speak at a coaching seminar before. He's very switched on. He really has a deep understanding of the game. And as soon as Gerrard got the Rangers job, the first
he immediately got him.
First phone call he made was to Michael Beale. Michael Beale even went out and he was the assistant coach of Sao Paulo for a couple of seasons, I think. As well in Brazil. He just he's very he's a guy who started coaching in his early 20s. He wasn't a player, so he's still in I think late 30s now maybe, but he's very experienced and very switched on. So wherever Gerrard goes, he'll be taking him with him.
All right. What do you think about just overall Liverpool's I always felt like Liverpool this season would depend on how much desire they had after all those strong runs, going to a Champions League final, losing, then chasing behind Man City, losing the league by 1 point, then winning the league, winning the Champions League. I felt like this year it was do they have the desire? And they didn't. But it also wasn't that. It was the loss of Van Dijk, Gomez, and Matip. And then, but in these last 9 games, I've seen that desire come back. It's almost as if they need some type of adversity to play the way they played. They can't feel like they got this. It's almost like they have to have something to aspire to, and it's good to see that desire back. And what do you think is going to happen with Phillips? Because he's been close to man of the match the last few matches for Liverpool. Like, will they keep him? Will they play him? Like, he's stepping up. He's warming into this team, and he's kind of stepping up into, because he's saw what Van Dijk did, so he sees the level that he needs to be at. Like, sometimes when there's nobody there before you, you don't know, but it's like, oh, when you look in the mirror, you see Van Dijk, and you try to be what you see in the mirror. So he's helped with their desire levels.
He needs to play to carry on developing, I think, and that'll be the interesting thing, because obviously, Gomez, Matip are coming back to fitness next season. Apparently a deal was almost done for Ibrahima Konate from Leipzig, who's a centre back. So, I mean, with Van Dijk as well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I mean, it'll be interesting to see Phillips with Van Dijk, to see how they work as a pair, because Phillips, it just looks like he's got massive potential. So that'll be interesting. But we haven't mentioned the Alisson goal as well.
Yes.
From that game. That was crazy.
That was
crazy.
Yeah.
That was like an Aguero moment almost. Like, probably, if they actually get top four, I think that'd go down as one of the iconic Premier League moments of all time.
Yeah, he had a terrible game against City, like really, really bad game, very uncharacteristic for him. And I think he paid his dues for that game in this game, for sure.
Yeah, and now we know why he had a bad game against City, because I had no idea his father died. Like, I was like, how is this guy kind of a shadow of himself and making these mistakes that he would never normally make? And it's like, now it's not that he's been slacking off or his abilities are miraculously diminishing. It's like he had personal issues and problems. Like Aubameyang season, his mom was sick, and you could tell the difference between sick mom Aubameyang and non-sick Aubameyang, but sick mom Aubameyang. And it's like, Alisson, God bless you. I hope you get through this. Your father passed, but yeah, that header and the speech that he made afterwards is like I just like who this guy is as a player, and that was an amazing goddamn goal. Like, I didn't see the match. I was in Austin, so I didn't see it live. And Neil Lee was like, I think you should. He said it's worth watching the Burnley. Was it Burnley? No, it wasn't Burnley, right? West Brom, Liverpool game. So all right. So I watched it like later on that night, like hours later, and I'm sitting there, and I could have never imagined that was what I knew something was going to happen, but I could never imagine that was what was going to happen. And even though I knew something was going to happen, it still blew my fucking mind.
Yeah, and it's important to say that Liverpool couldn't beat Sam Allardyce's teams in like 6 games. So Sam Allardyce somehow was in a way anti-datum on Klopp. And it looked like he would snatch some points away from Klopp again, and they needed Alisson to score to break that spell.
Yeah, the lesson is, if you're a goalkeeper and you're gonna go up, wait till everybody's set, and then go up, and then when everybody has a man, nonchalantly just stroll up, put that ball in the back of the net. And
it might encourage more teams to try to do that in the last minutes of the game, because technically you have an advantage, one player advantage, in a set pitch situation. So
yeah, because they had nothing to lose. It's like, if you don't win the game, you're never going to get in the top 4. So even if you're tied now, if you end the game tied, you're not getting in the top 4.
Yeah. And now they're getting, because they're playing Crystal Palace in the last game at home, so I think they're safe. I mean, I'm worried more about Chelsea, as a matter of fact, because but I think we'll beat Leicester, so I think Chelsea will be fine. But to play at Aston Villa, I mean, it's not going to be an easy game. Aston Villa now in the full swing; they have all the players, so it's not going to be an easy game. I'll tell you that.
No, it's the toughest game.
Yeah, but I think we'll just help Chelsea as good neighbors. We'll help Chelsea because we like to show our good character and be just good people as we are, Spurs fans.
And we will return the favor by giving you a good amount for Harry Kane.
Okay. Yeah, sure. 200 mil.
200 mil.
Harry Kane himself the dude is so fed up with Daniel Levy and he's trying everything. Like he even agreed to go playing golf with Gary Neville. You guys saw the interview that came out today? I think they
Yeah, I
released
saw
parts
part
of
of
it. Yeah. So, and he's going off saying, I'm sure the chairman's gonna, like, he has to, right? It's almost like in the course of the interview, he's trying to convince himself that Levy's not gonna be an absolute asshole about this and he's gonna let him go. Like, yeah, I think, Dan Levy is gonna think that he can get a good 100 million out of me. Those were Harry Kane's words, 100 million.
Listen,
And he says, I may not be worth that much in a couple of years' time. So,
listen. This Zoom setup reminds me of a bank. So this is bank teller here, Neil. I'm taking money from you, and I'm spending money here, Lee, on Danny Ings.
But that's the thing. If you're, it's a joke on Lee, fine. But if you're gonna get money for Danny Ings, you're gonna replace Harry Kane for Danny Ings, you're in trouble. That's all I have to say.
We'll change the system. We'll have
Couple
a
of-
different coach.
couple of
Listen,
different-
sometimes Ewing theory. We'll do fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be fine. Lee, any last words?
No, just looking forward to next season with the money we get for Danny Ings from Spurs. Shea
who are you gonna say spend it on?
Shea Adams is still improving, so
Yep.
we'll be fine. We got Theo Walcott on a permanent deal now as well, so we'll get like 3 good games out of him next season.
Yeah. That's optimistic.
I would love us to go and get one of the good strikers from the Championship. I don't think we'll have the money to. I really like Ivan Toney at Brentford. He scored 31 goals in the Championship this season, 10 assists. But I think bigger clubs than us will look at him. He's who they replaced Watkins with.
Right.
So Watkins went from Brentford to Villa. Watkins replaced Mopé, who went to Brighton, and then Watkins went to Villa, and then they got Tony from Peterborough, and he's unreal.
What about your academy? Because
Mopé.
None of the kids are ready.
Okay.
Teller's been good this season, but he's a winger. We haven't got any strikers in the academy right now that can step in. It'll be Adams and Walcott if we sell Ings, unless we buy someone.
Because your academy is one of the best in England. I mean, your academy.
It was. It's not produced players. It's slowed down. They're trying to fix that, but it's not as good as it was. We got relegated from the because there's 2 divisions in under 23 football, and we got there's
the PL2, you mean?
Yeah, the PL2.
Yeah,
there's 2 divisions within it, and we just got relegated out of the top one into the second one. So yeah, like I say, the talent production line isn't there anymore. So we need to fix it.
Why? What happened?
Lots of changes of personnel at the academy, and the managers. We had a sort of run of managers who didn't want to play the players as well. But sometimes you get good generations with academies, and then it slows down for a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll
Tell
see
me
what
about
happens.
it. Neil. Martin, what you got? Last words.
Well, no, it's not a good season for Spurs for sure. At no means, it's a good season.
At least you realize that. Go ahead.
No, 100%. But sometimes you need to change things if they stop working, because they were working for 4 or 5 years and then they stopped working. And we made a mistake with hiring a Mourinho, unfortunately, which I thought is going to be a good thing. It ended up being not a good thing, and now we have to clean the mess after Mourinho. Unfortunately, it's what it is. What it is. And I think, the key is to hire a right manager. And I think if we have the right manager and we get the money for Kane, we can compete for top 4 next year. I think we can, if we spend the money right for the right players, and we really change the team drastically. We have to change the team. I think we can compete for top 4 because we do have money. It's a Premier League. It's the richest clubs in the world. We can, as I said, buy from Italy, buy from Germany, buy from France, buy from Spain, and I have a pretty good team based on that.
I'm giving you my fuckboy face. That's a fuckboy emoji.
All right.
Neil, go ahead. What you got?
I mean, from Chelsea point of view, like there's 2 cup finals now, and I think we made our life a little difficult with losing the Arsenal game, for example. So this becomes kind of like a must-win if you want to the Aston Villa game, if you want to like keep things in our hands. So yeah, hope we win that, and then we got to win the Champions League final now. I wasn't like that, um, trying to put that much pressure on the team before, but now having lost two finals, you can't become Tottenham Hotspur. So you
Yeah,
gotta
that's
you gotta win that third one, and
it.
hopefully a good end to the season.
We'll
Like I
help you.
said,
We'll help you.
like I said, like I said before, Tottenham would love to lose 3 finals. Uh, they've lost one. I just feel like this week of football, like we couldn't. Uh, I wish we could have podcast Monday, like before the Leicester game, or right after it, or but so from Sunday to this week Sunday, it's so fucking crazy as far as football is concerned because of we don't have playoffs like the American uh, basketball or NFL season or whatever. But because of the way the league is set up, like the regular season, especially towards the end of it, or all of it, we're always looking at it like the playoffs. Like the Champions League stands as the playoffs for all the leagues across Europe. And exciting to watch all the races and people using the regular season games as playoffs games. Like Neil just mentioned, you just like lost, two or one, and a final or semifinal, and you have a final coming up to guarantee you have a Champions League spot. But the excitement that we're experiencing now is what the Super League was attempting to destroy. So if you're in
Yeah.
America and you're a Glazier or a Kroenke or anybody who was on their side, if you're looking at this week in football, you gotta realize and recognize it doesn't get more exciting than this. And this excitement has nothing to do with the top of the table. The top of the table has already been decided, but we're still excited about the bottom top four. We're excited about the 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 fifth and sixth teams, and we're excited about Tottenham being in seventh and possibly sliding down to ninth. That's it just can't get better than that. You just don't want to take away those things, you know what I mean? And at Man U, we're safe. We're gonna finish second, but we need to win on this last game to go into this Europa League final because we're in a slump too, and I recognize that, and we need the boost. We didn't have it against Liverpool. I was like, it looked like they'd rested players for their game before us, and then we tied with Fulham, who's tough and hard to
Great
beat.
goal from Cavani, though. Great goal.
Great goal, great goal. But and
the best goals of the season.
So what?
One of the best goals of the season, for sure.
Yeah, we produced some class ass goals, and we've had a lot of comebacks. But there's like in the Fulham game, like I felt like they were hungrier than us, and for a lot of the part of the Liverpool game, they were hungrier than us. And it's hard when you're a fan of Manchester United to see a team hungrier than you and you can't do nothing about it. You feel helpless, and I don't want us to go into the Europa League final like that. I need us to be hungrier than Wolves against Wolves so that we can take that energy and bring it to is it Sevilla?
Roma.
Villarreal.
No.
Villarreal.
You beat Roma.
Villarreal.
Villarreal.
Like I don't want us I don't want us going in there like, oh, we got this. No, I want us like,
Yeah.
I need that underdog energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about cups, I mean, I forgot about one thing to mention that is very interesting. Gianluigi Buffon won the Coppa d'Italia at the age of 43 with Juventus in the game that the winning goal was scored by Federico Chiesa. and all those historians brought the fact that his first cup he won with Enrico Chiesa, the father of Federico Chiesa.
Oh shit.
So he won the cup with the son of the guy he won the first cup with.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, at least Ronaldo won something this year. Well,
Buffon.
I know, but at least Ronaldo won something this year. Yeah. Well, guys, pleasure again. Martin, thanks for joining us. You took a beating, but you're tougher than Spurs. At least you keep coming back. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you have to.
You know, at least you have more resilience than your own team. You know what I'm saying? So I congratulate you for that. Thanks for coming through when you could. Lee, get some sleep. Thank you for coming through. What time is it in the morning there? You always around?
It's not too bad. It's 1 a.m. right now. So
that's when we would normally kind of start.
If you're insomniac, count from 1 to 30 million. That's the Inks man. 1 to 30 million.
No, I'll count from 1 to 90 million for Kane money.
Yeah. That's hilarious. And Neil, thanks for the stats and the data and the jokes and all it and everything. And good luck Sunday. And shit, well, I guess we'll talk about Champions League final that you're gonna lose after that. But all right, cool, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, Aaron Brungardt. Peace. We out.